Among the most intriguing aspects of the Legend of Zelda franchise has been the introduction of time travel in Ocarina of Time, an aspect which has been built upon since, to the point where Link's most renowned title is the Hero of Time. Although The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword revealed some of the possible mechanics behind objects like the Ocarina of Time, Pedestal of Time, and the Gate of Time, we can only speculate as to how they operate and what forces might be responsible. During the Sky Era, we are first introduced to TimeShift Stones, a bluish-purple gem which, when struck, appear to transform an area of Lanayru Desert into a thriving green utopia. In actuality, the stones, when activated, open a temporal distortion field, essentially opening a window into the past. Fee determines these stones were once used as a source of power for the Lanayru province. Hundreds of years prior to the Sky Era, Lanayru province was a lush and vibrant land inhabited by an advanced civilization, since forgotten. The precious ore mined at the facility was TimeShift Stones used to power the civilization and the robots mining the ore. However, natural resource depletion would eventually wither the Lanayru province, the civilization vanished, and the robots left in the desert to decay. TimeShift Stones are found in three forms. First, TimeShift Orbs are TimeShift Stones that are encased in an ornate metal sphere. TimeShift ore can be found in small clusters breaking through the surrounding rock, or in mining carts, both of which open a small localized field when struck. And ornate faceted stones on top of decorative pedestals. These are large TimeShift stones cut, polished, and engraved with a symbol resembling that of the Sheikah. They also open larger temporal fields than TimeShift ore. We can only speculate as to the properties and composition of TimeShift crystals, but they are clearly a material of significant power. They are euhedral cubic crystals which are highly reactive, activated by the vibrations of Link's strike propagating through the crystalline structure. As its elemental constituents interact with one another, a small temporal distortion results, and a window to the near-distant past is opened by making the world lines of all matter in the field closed-loop world lines. After mining, the TimeShift ore would then be refined by the ancient robots and utilized by the Lanayru people to power their advanced technology or incorporated into their technology. The goddess Hylia charged Lanayru, the Thunder Dragon, with protecting the Lanayru province and overseeing mining operations at the mining facility. Large quantities of the highly refined ore was also being utilized in the sacred temple of the sealed grounds and the temple of time in Lanayru province. During the era of the goddess, the mice had been imprisoned within the sealed grounds. Hylia sustained heavy injury during her battle with the Demon King, and knowing the Triforce could only be wielded by a mortal and that the Demon King would eventually break free, she gave her life so that she would be reincarnated with the hero to battle Demise. To aid in their battle, Hylia created the Gates of Time. Each gate has a stone slab ceiling. It's similar to the goddess cubes all over Hyrule and bearing the sign of the goddess, but also have engravings of gears on them and are larger than goddess cubes, but are activated in the same manner, with a skyward strike. After a skyward strike from the Master Sword, the gate stones glow with a brilliant light and break apart into floating cubes. Glowing with a similar color and engravings is an activated and cut TimeShift stone. Each cube fits together into a specific configuration, revealing the Gate of Time. The central gear is spun by two smaller gears, which appear to materialize right out of the ceiling. This indicates that there is much more to the gate than visible, perhaps part of a much grander device with only a portion visible in the light world. The primary gear has 12 teeth, each bearing a symbol resembling hour zodiac signs. It is clear it is meant to represent a 12-hour cycle, since Terminian clocks utilize a 12-hour cycle. If Hyrule also observes a calendar year similar to our own Gregorian calendar, the 12 teeth may represent months. But how does the Gate of Time transport Link hundreds of years back through time in an instant? General relativity and our current understanding of physics allow three primary methods of achieving time travel. Traveling faster than the speed of light, the use of cosmic strings and black holes, and wormholes. Since light travels at 186,000 miles per second through a vacuum, and the fastest we ever see Link travel is on Epona, we can rule out faster than light speed as a possibility. Black holes aren't a viable candidate for many reasons either. A black hole would consume surrounding matter, devastating Hyrule. If somehow it were able to exist without eating Hyrule, one small enough to fit in a temple would evaporate rapidly. The resulting time dilation would have the opposite effect anyway, taking Link into the future and not the past. A traversable wormhole connecting 2 points in space-time seems to be the only feasible possibility. This method would only allow Link to travel back no further than the point at which the wormhole was created. Since Hylia created the Gates of Time in the era of the goddess, Link could travel back to that point. According to general relativity, to make a wormhole traversable would require negative matter, which isn't known to exist. String theory, however, only requires the wormhole to be surrounded by a negative mass cosmic string to stabilize the wormhole. Without stabilization, the wormhole would act like two black holes sharing one singularity. When the gate of time is activated, the center of the gate turns black. This would be expected of a wormhole since the deformation of space-time is so strong that not even light can escape it. Although very similar, the laws of physics in Hyrule would be slightly different than those in our universe. TimeShift Stones may provide the energy required to stabilize the wormhole. The Gate of Time may in fact be a transit system of tunnels through space-time, allowing various links to travel to different points in the continuum by manipulating the timeshift-crafted gates, essentially dialing coordinates in space-time. The Ocarina of Time is a sacred heirloom passed down the royal bloodline until Link acquires it from Princess Zelda in the Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. An object of immense power has the ability to allow someone to travel through time, as well as appearing to possess other abilities. In actuality, the Ocarina of Time is able to perform two functions: manipulate space-time and play melodies. What appear to be magical effects are actually either a result of manipulating space-time or an effect of the melody itself. Throughout various titles, there are numerous puzzles, entrances, and mechanisms which react to Link playing a specific melody on the Ocarina of Time, most of which also react the same way by playing the same song on the Fairy Ocarina. Therefore, it is the song which causes the effect and not the Ocarina of Time. A specific set of tunes played in the correct order would trigger a mechanism or magic on the blockader barrier. The Song of Healing, for example, calms tormented souls by calming the mind, making it a psychological effect rather than a magical one. In reality, certain frequencies and rhythms can alter activity in the brain. How does the Ocarina of Time allow Link to travel through time and warp to other locations? First, we know the Ocarina of Time is constructed out of a fairly dense material because Majora's Mask Skull Kid drops the Ocarina to the floor at the top of the clock tower without damage, ruling out a ceramic construction. The Ocarina of Time isn't wooden because in Ocarina of Time, Princess Zelda throws the Ocarina into the moat surrounding Castle Town without ill effect or warping. Besides its density, the Ocarina of Time is a similar color to TimeShift Stones. It is likely the Ocarina is constructed from refined timeshift ore, or a combination of materials, with TimeShift Stone comprising a large percentage of the composition. Perhaps the Ocarina was even among the technologies developed by the long-lost Lanayru civilization. Just as timeshift stones react when struck by an object, it is the frequency and amplitude of the vibrations by playing specific notes which activate the timeshift stone in the ocarina. Specific songs generate a specific sequence of vibrational frequencies which, similar to the Gate of Time, direct the reaction and dial a specific effect. Because space and time are indivisible and unified into space-time, if Link is able to manipulate time, he can also manipulate space, allowing Link to use the Ocarina of Time to transport from one location to another. The Ocarina is able to produce wormholes through space-time, allowing for both spatial and temporal travel. While the Gate of Time can open wormholes to the distant past, the Ocarina of Time seems to be limited to travel to only the near-distant past of perhaps up to a decade. It may be the smaller quantity of timeshift ore in the ocarina, refining techniques, or the composition of the ocarina which limits its range through space-time. Whatever the science, the Ocarina of Time is an object of tremendous power. It's responsible for the split timeline, Link's triumph over Ganondorf, and responsible for Ganondorf's rise to power and the fall of Hyrule in Ocarina of Time.